right, y'all, before we start, because some of y'all be tripping, under the advice of counsel, I got to add that the views, thoughts, opinions that are expressed on this podcast are mine and mine alone. They do not represent my employer. All right, let's go.
Because I was like, damn, do we really want to get into this discussion? Because if we get into this discussion right here, y'all.
All right, so again, thank you for meeting with me on this Sunday. I appreciate that so very much. So I feel like there's so much that we need to talk about, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time, so I do want to try to hit the hot spots. But I think one of the most important questions that I'm always asked every time I talk about HISD or I talk about teachers and the things that we're facing in school is, where is y'all's union? So explaining to people that, hey, this is Texas and we kind of do things a little bit differently from what you may do in your state. So tell everybody about who you are, what you do with HFT, and then we'll get into it.
Okay, so good morning. I'm Jackie Anderson, president of the Houston Federation of Teachers. Well, our state Fed, with their infinite wisdom and a $33 billion surplus that they refuse to put in schools, have put laws into place that prevent public sector unions from striking. So unions in Texas, if they're public sector, do not have the legal authority to do that. But unions are formed by workers who join together and use their strength as a voice in their workplace. So union workers have the ability to negotiate negotiate from a position of strength. There's power in numbers. And we negotiate over our wages, benefits, workplace health, safety, job training, and other work-related issues. Here in Texas, the Houston Federation of Teachers is a part of a affiliation called the American Federation of Labor Congress of Industrial Organizations, which is short for AFL, which in short is AFL-CIO. Mm-hmm. It's the largest federation of unions in the United States. We are a part of that, along with 95 other affiliates in the Gulf Coast area, like the international firefighters, the communication workers, and those unions. So where we may not have a legal right to strike, we are still a union in that we do have everything other unions have, with the exception of the ability to strike. Now, when I go travel around this country and I meet with other teacher unions, and usually my work is with other teacher unions when I'm traveling, they really admire the fact that we get done what we get done without the ability to strike. For example, in which I have worked with two superintendents in HISD, Grenada Lathan and Millard House, without the ability to strike. Under Millard House, we got the largest raise in the history of HISD, the 11.5 average percent. We didn't have a union and we didn't have to strike to do it. So when you don't have the ability to strike, it makes you more collaborative. And I like to think that sometimes that's the way. You shouldn't have to strike. That shouldn't be any union's a major claim to fame is that we're going on strike. So prior to Miles, we had very collaborative relationships. So we have always worked with the other superintendents in HISD to sit down and make great gains. In HFT, we have a professional development part of our union, which we were able to have a full-time PD director who went into the schools to work with teachers who were having difficulty with their craft, who was able to work with them through their evaluations and pull them out of slumps where they may have been struggling, and to get them to become good teachers. To get past the evaluation systems, we had put in efforts to train teachers on the new evaluation system, T-test, and work with the district in the development of the T-test under House. So I like to think that even though we don't have the ability to strike, we do have the ability to make a positive difference for our teachers in HISD.
Okay. So I think the big elephant in the room for people that are in other states, on social media, people just kind of draw their own conclusions about what most of us here that live in the city or have worked in HISD already know. And that is, they're not aware of exactly how and why the state took over HISD. So could you briefly explain that process and the reason behind this decision, the state's decision to take over HISD?
Well, I like to call it the Dutton Bill.
Okay.
House Bill 1842 made it possible for TEA to take over HISD. And one of the things he specifically cited is that HISD had failing schools. He specifically named Kashmir as one of the failing schools and said that they had not made gains in math in 7 years and that there were no certified math teachers in Kashmir, which was not true. He used that as a means to writing this bill and getting this bill passed. And after several different amendments to the bill, it was passed, and it did allow them to do it. Well, in 2019, SB 1365 notified HISD of their intent to appoint a board of managers and a new superintendent in HISD, citing the Texas law that authorized the state to do that. However, COVID came, and because it was economically unfeasible to do that, they decided not to do it. So fast forward, they wait until 2022 and decide that they're now going to, based on the 2019, that when they could have done it in 2019 to go ahead and do it. But at that time, the school in question was not a failing school, and HISD had a B+ rating and a AAA bond rating.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't do it in 2019 because of COVID. And now that things have leveled off and things have improved, students have returned and they're doing better, we decide now we're going to take over this district. There are many districts in the state of Texas who have lower ratings than HISD and who have lower bond rating, which at that time, HISD had a AAA bond rating. So what is the real reason behind the takeover? We said the takeover is about power and money, and we still believe that. They do not want to take over districts where they don't have the ability to move in and have a power grab. Just follow the money. Follow the money. In every case, follow the money.
Okay. So we talk about a board of managers versus a traditional school board. So help the people. I already know. Help the people understand how the board of managers differs from their regular ordinary school board and just the difference in power. Like, I think people need to really understand how serious this is. They think, oh, just go down to your school board meeting or vote the people out. And we're like, no, that's over with. We're done with that. This is something else new now. So
absolutely.
Explain to people the board of managers versus their traditional school board.
So the board of managers was appointed by Mike Miles. Who is the Commissioner of Education in Texas, who was appointed by Abbott.
Mm-hmm.
The Miles appointed the board of managers. He also appointed Mike Miles as superintendent. Now, these people answer to no one except Miles, who answers to Abbott. The board of managers is nothing more than a rubber stamp. One of them has already said publicly in a meeting, he is not here to advocate for parents. He is only here to make sure that the superintendent's plan is not derailed. So these people who are sitting there pretending and claiming to be doing what's best for your children could care less. They are only there to rubber stamp, put a check mark on whatever Miles tells them. If they were here to advocate for your children or make the best decision for children in HISD, they would not be voting for everything he says 9-0 without question.
Wow, 9-0?
9-0, always 9-0 without question. No discussion, no question. Now, a voted board, a board put in by a democratic process, is elected in HISD. The district is split up into 9 areas where representatives from those 9 areas are elected to the board. 5 one year, 4 the next year. So they're alternating how they are elected. And they are answer to their constituents across this district. Although they're not specifically to answer to, for example, District 2 trustee. It's not specifically to answer to District 2, but they are to represent our children. But the constituents of District 2 have a person they can go to, talk to about their concerns. And that trustee will answer and ask those concerns of the superintendent, help hold the superintendent accountable for what those constituents in that particular district deem as important to them. Now, without a democratically elected board and a board of managers, we do not have that. So our democracy has been taken away. And this is why if you listen to me in all time, at any time, you hear me say we're taxation without representation.
Yep.
Because we do not have anyone that I can't go to any one of those board members and say to them, this is what I see in my district. I live in District 2. This needs to be addressed. And if I was able to do that, what do you think they're going to do? If it is not something that's on the Miles agenda.
Right. Okay, so I think that was super important, because I'm always telling people, I think I made a video about that this morning, like, guys, school board is so very, very important. And we got, last day to file for people that wanted to run for Texas school board was this past Friday. The elections are May the 4th. Early elections are in April. And I'm like, people, y'all got to get on the board, or if you're not even going to go run for board, you got to go sit at the meetings, because this is where the decisions are made. This is where your voices are heard. And HISD no longer has that. They don't even have that ability to go down there and be heard. I know that earlier when the whole thing first transpired, you guys had a lot of turnout, and there was some mixed high emotions at some of these board meetings. And I think a couple of teachers were even reprimanded for voicing their concerns at the board meeting. So talk a little bit about that before we move on to talking about who Floyd Mike Miles is.
Well, that's true. We have some teachers who are in our union who was simply asked, how were their children supposed to go to the restroom? How were they supposed to go to the restroom? They were reprimanded. We had some teachers who spoke out at the board meeting about this Miles curriculum and was simply saying that it was not meeting the needs of their students. We have teachers who spoke out about the SPED curriculum that was being used and how this NES model was not allowing for them to reteach and give the adequate time that's been ordered for in the students' IEPs. It didn't allow for them to make those modifications to those students in the classroom. And they were, quote unquote, reprimanded, removed, and things of that nature from their classrooms, not allowed to teach. The model itself does not allow for a strong educational system where children's individual needs are being met. Children are not cookie cutter. Anybody who's been in education, I was a teacher for 33 years, and every student in that classroom had a different way that they needed to be taught.
Yes, ma'am.
You cannot lay out the dough, use a cookie cutter and think this is it, you get it or you don't. That's not educating children. And we can talk a little bit later about why I think that's going on, but this does not really, the model is not productive or to create an environment of real structured learning for children. So it's just, I don't know.
Yes, this is a mess. I do definitely want to get more into the model, but so everybody, I mean, when they first announced that Floyd Mike Miles was going to be the new superintendent of HISD, the social media went bananas, because you had people that were, I think, in Colorado that were like, wait a minute, we had him for a smidgen of time. Then you had people in different parts of Texas, especially Dallas ISD, and they were telling the HISD teachers, hey, run now. So everybody hates Mike Miles and they hate his NES system. Let's talk about why. Again, moving into talking about exactly what NES is. And then I think one of the most important questions before we even start that is, let's talk about his background in education. There's so many different stories from he was never certified to be an educator. He was never certified to be a superintendent. I think that's been updated now, being who his buddies are. So what has he accomplished or not accomplished in other school districts where he has implemented this NES system?
Well, first of all, this NES system, well, he's named it the NES system, it doesn't work. It has never worked anywhere he's ever been. And as you said, we had people coming all the way down here from Dallas to speak at the school board meetings when he was first appointed, specifically bringing data to show that Dallas was worse off when he left than it was when he took the helm. So there's notes in his educational background, very sketchy. Someone showed on, I think it was on social media, that he has an 11-year gap in his resume. No one knows where the heck he was during that 11 years. Is not a certified teacher. He's not a certified superintendent. And he said he's not going to be. He's not going to get certified. I wonder if he can be certified, especially in lieu of the fact that he's never been a certified teacher. So just to say you are not and you're not going to be is a big red flag for me and for most certified teachers. You research his third future charter schools, there are not glowing reports there either. So, I mean, he's just a big dark hole full of questions, full of non-answers. And you wonder, what is this guy? What is his end game? It's certainly not to help our children.
No, not at all. So does he have like a business or I think I read somewhere that he had a military background?
Yes, he was educated at West Point, I believe it was. And he was a military child, educated at West Point. I hear he did teach at West Point for a while, but he was not certified. So he has been used as a teacher, or acting as a teacher in some instances in his life. His good friend hired him to be the superintendent was on the board. Mike Miles was on the board in Dallas. Persuaded them to hire him as superintendent. That was a colossal failure. And now he's placed him here, which is destined to be a colossal failure here in HISD. So he's just fallen into positions of which he is not qualified. And it's obvious.
Yeah, obvious. So now explain to the people, and I keep saying the people because people don't know what NES is. What is the new education system?
Well, the new education system appears to be one that is completely scripted. He provides the curriculum, which is a bunch of handouts. So, I'm baffled by the fact that when I was teaching, we couldn't use handouts.
Right.
That was just a no-no. We were told that was fluff, that was busy work, and you need to be teaching. But now all of a sudden, handouts are the way to go. You get these handouts every 4 minutes. You stop and assess these children, with these demonstration of learnings. And you use these strategies, which are not anything new, nothing he created. He has no data, no evidence to support his ideology. It's just something I guess his prediction ring told him. And this is what he's doing. And when you ask him, where is the data? He has none. He goes back and talks about Dallas and other places he's worked. But when you do the research, those places, this failed. His little 2035 production he did was mirror the 2025 he did in Dallas. Nothing changed. So nothing changed from 2025, Destination 2025 to Destination 2035.
Nothing.
So it's just a rerun, a repeat of things he's pulled together. Somebody should be filing plagiarism charges on him. That he's pulled together and tried to pretend that he's come up with the best things in sliced bread. And in actuality, he has not. There's nothing new about this new education system. It's one big experiment that he's trying to make it work in HISD because it's failed everywhere else.
So you mentioned something about a little script, and that takes me back to these monthly meetings or whatever. I don't even know what he calls them. I know there's some kind of like, hey, we're going to
from the source.
Straight from the source. That's it. So he does these straight from the source meetings, and he has everyone in, and they're just talking about their students, their parents, their teachers, talking about how great, how wonderfully this NES system is working. And then it was uncovered, because I get so much, Miss Jackie. When I tell you, I get so much email and so much information from teachers in the district. I'm glad to it. I'm like, hold on, y'all, I can't keep up. But then I'm like, oh, I still got to do my own job. So I was like, I can't get online until I leave my school district. So just trying to keep up. But someone sent me the script, like it was an actual script that they had to go through on one of these little straight from the sources. And so I pulled that script, because I would like to verify information before I put it out there. So I pulled that script that they sent me, and I think I went back and pulled one of the meetings that it was from. And I said, oh my God, this is verbatim. Now, one teacher went a tad bit off script, a little bit, but I said, this is verbatim. So he's sending these out to kids or to people ahead of time and basically telling them, this is what you're going to talk about at this meeting. And you better smile and pretend like this is the best thing ever.
The biggest crock I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Because if this was actually working so well, you wouldn't have, and not only that, paying people. Because I got some information last week where he sent to some principals asking if they had some people who wanted to come, and they would be paid to come and also have dinner. Now, you wanted the nurses. Yes. Wow. You wanted the nurses to work on a Saturday for 2 Saturdays out of a month to give injections to children without pay. You want teachers to work on weekends completing the UIL without pay. You want tutorials to happen without pay, but you want to pay people to come and participate in one of your productions.
Wow. That's interesting. So we definitely are going to get into the money. So now, another thing that, and I feel like I'm trying to squeeze everything in quickly, but another thing that people are not understanding, and we'll talk more about the Madison High School students specifically later on, but one of the biggest things, as myself, I'm an English teacher, reading an English teacher. So the whole libraries being turned into detention centers at specific schools has been a big thing. I don't think people understand that. I think they call them the Zoom room or whatever they call it, but we know what it is. It's a detention center.
Exactly.
And so these students no longer have access to a library. And I know because because of the areas that the NES system has impacted the hardest, have been impacted by the hardest. You have people are on social media like, oh, well, they weren't using the library anyway. They don't read. They don't do this. And I'm like, oh my God, y'all take a small group of kids and make it like it's the whole building that's doing this. And I know where I teach, my school, the library is like one of the most major parts of the school building. Those kids are safe there. They feel included. They are loved by the librarian. It's just, the library is just so much more than just a room with books in it. So how has let's talk about, I guess, the library is being removed and turned into detention centers. And how do you feel like this has impacted the schools and the morale of the students at the schools?
The best way to keep a man down is to keep him unlearned. If he can't read, he's unlearned. So if you want to create a culture of people who are unlearned, take away books. Take away his ability to access books and read. Without reading, you cannot do anything. You will just be a functional illiterate. So why in the Black and brown communities where people are already underprivileged, don't have libraries on corners that are functioning, up and functioning, especially since COVID.
Right.
That you want to remove the libraries from the schools where they should be able to access books freely and read. And not only that, he's also telling them that if they want to read, they can read at home.
Where they don't have access to books.
Where they don't have access to books.
And also, I know at the beginning of the year, teachers were sending me like pictures and videos of them literally pulling out their classroom libraries into the hallways, dumping books in big trash bags, dumping books in the hallway, like literally getting rid of the books.
And I want to know where they went.
Where did they go?
That's what I want to know.
That's
Where
crazy,
did they go?
Miss Jackie, because as I'm sitting in here talking to you right now, I just posted on my neighborhood Facebook page. I've been teaching for 23 years. I have so many books. And I just told my neighbors, like, hey, I'm putting all these books out on my porch. Come get them, because where I teach, we get a class set times 100 every school year, brand new books. So my students are beyond privileged, and they're like, so over the years, the books that I've collected from major authors, I have just sitting in here, my own personal library, or books that people have donated to me. And I'm like, wow, what if I could give these books to some HISD teachers? But no, they can't even have any in their classrooms at all.
No, and that's the reason why with my national organization, American Federation of Teachers, we gave away 40,000 books one Saturday in District 2, where most of those schools, the NES schools, are situated, so that students could come and get a set of books for their home libraries, and teachers could also come and get books for their home libraries that they would be able to use or even share with students if that's what they wanted to do, because books are important. Yeah. And you would not learn how to read if you don't have a book in your hand. So it was very concerning to us, to our national president, that these books were being removed. I got pictures where the library, the shelves were turned facing the walls, and a lot of the books had just been thrown away or dumped. So yeah. I really want to know where they went. What did they do with them?
Me too.
They could have at least given them to the kids.
Because the books are expensive. I know when we go through our budget as an ELA department in my district where I am, we get a good chunk of little, allowance that we can choose. Each teacher can choose their classroom library. And I know that budget is those books are expensive.
And it's very tight in Houston, in Texas, because like I said, when you have a state led sitting on $38 billion and holding it hostage for vouchers, the school districts don't have money to be spending like that. And so you're going to take instructional material and dump it.
That hurts my heart. Ooh,
it does hurt. And it hurts the heart of every educator. Because we know how hard it is, a lot of us, to even get the supplies you in your classroom. You go into your own personal accounts to purchase material. I cannot even tell you how much over my 33 years of my own hard-earned money I spend in my classroom. Yeah,
just to be able to do your job. Exactly. Just to do the basics of your job. Don't I know it? So speaking of money, let's get into the big thing right here. And I'm gonna say, and I said it when they first announced, when they were talking about it, I kept making social media posts. It's a takeover. This is not what y'all want. And don't y'all jump. They're gonna sprinkle a dollar, wiggle a dollar in your face. Don't y'all jump and run to that. So now these teachers have discovered that everything that glitter ain't gold. They jumped at this money because they were like, oh, snap, we're going to make 6 figures. And Miss Jackie, hell, you can teach for 33 years and you ain't going to never see 6 figures.
Absolutely. I was a long way from 6 figures.
Listen, and I got 2 more years to go and I will never see 6 figures.
Okay.
So these teachers that were running, and understandably so, we're in a damn Great Depression right now. Everything is failing around us. So I definitely understand wanting to make the best financial decision for themselves and their families. But let's talk about that, because when we first got the news, okay, they're gonna be paying y'all 6 figures, like $85,000-$90,000, woo. Everybody was leaving their school districts. I mean, jumping good school districts just to come here and get this money. And then we saw a lot of people that got here once they were promised one amount, and then their contract said another amount. And then once they had them locked in, now they dump all of these rules on them, where the rules that are, hey, there's no such thing as contract time here. You work when we tell you to work. You come in when we tell you to come in. You do everything we tell you to do because we're paying you the big bucks. So let's talk about the money, Miss Jackie.
We initially, when we heard that, we told teachers, do not fall for it. Do not drink the Kool-Aid. First of all, this district cannot financially sustain those promises this year or next year. Immediately, they start backtracking. At first, they said it was a $10,000 bonus. Then they tried to change it to a $10,000 stipend. Big difference between a sign-on bonus and a stipend.
Yes, ma'am.
Then they started trying to put stipulations. You can't miss more than this 5 days. You can't do this. You have to have a certain... Well, that's not what you said. And we knew it. That's why we kept telling teachers, do not drink the Kool-Aid. Do not fall for this. But You know, some people, and I understand when you've been working and you have the possibility of making $95,000 or $100,000 when you're only making 50 or 60. You think about your family and you think about a way that you can make this work for you. But you have to look at the big picture here. The district didn't have any more money, and the state takeover didn't come with more money. There was no money that came from the state to put into this takeover or this NES model. Where is this money coming from? He immediately started laying off people in central office, laying off some of the grounds people, laying off the contracted evaluation specialists and DIAG. So he was closing down departments to come up with all this promised salaries. We filed over 55 to 60 grievances for people who were promised a certain amount and were not given the money because we said this offer letter was a contract.
Yeah.
It was an addendum to the contract you had. And fortunately, we were able to win on those who had their letter in their hand and said, this is what they told me and this is what they're paying me. And of course, we are still battling on some of these instances because the district is trying to back out and say, oh, we made a mistake. How the hell do you make that kind of mistake?
That kind of mistake. You got these people that left their jobs, left their districts.
That's right.
To come to you and now they locked in.
That's right. People in the district leaving their good schools, running to the NES because they were told this is going to be a hospital model and all you're going to have to do is come in like a surgeon and teach. And people going to make your lesson plans and they're going to make all the copies and somebody's going to grade the papers. Oh, it sounded like a utopia. But guess what? It didn't happen.
Did not.
It did not happen.
Stressed beyond measure right now.
And they all talking about this is my last year in HISD.
As it should be.
Looking for a mass exodus of teachers. And it's our best teachers in the district.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Many of them who came in these mass hiring events, I had one lady tell me she was a barista at Starbucks.
Oh, wow.
As a teacher apprentice making $80,000 a year.
I'll never see 80,000, Ms. Jackie.
Okay. And not even certified. So here again, this model is not sustainable. He's making promises now for the big salaries for the schools he's bringing in. Where's this money coming from? HISD does not have that kind of money. Where is it coming from? There's going to be no more ESSA funds, so you're not going to be able to tap into that.
That's it. Because now we can't even use the ESSA funds to pay for SEL counselors for the kids. The kids, they don't have to be on their own to go find some social, some psychological services because we don't have the money. I am so confused on where this $80,000 for a teacher apprentice, Miss Jackie. I've got 6 certifications and I'll never see $80,000.
Okay. I retired after 33 years and I wasn't making $80,000.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So this is not sustainable. Right now we're in the process of trying to doing an open records request and doing some research about how much this is actually going to cost so we can start to share with people. This is not going to happen. It is not going to happen unless you're going to deplete if you've taken away field trips, you've taken away everything that makes school an enjoyable place to learn.
Right. So
you're cutting out all of the frills, you're cutting out everything that you think as that Mike Miles thinks is going to cost extra money so you can use that money over here. I've heard certain areas going to be coming.
In certain areas, though, because certain schools he could never go to the Bel Airs and the River Oaks and tell those parents that he's taking away theater and taking away their fine arts. He would never.
He never.
I'm burning the city down.
That's right. But you know what? I think they're getting worried now. I think they're getting worried because they're starting to see some of the things happening in their schools that are reeking a little bit of NES. So I'm so happy because we start telling them too. It's on our side today.
Right.
It's going to spread on your side later. Just sit there and watch and don't get involved.
Trickle down effect. Yes, ma'am. Right. All right. So now let's go back to you a little bit. So as the president of the Teachers Association of the Union, how do you perceive his leadership, his relationship with the community, given that has been so much intense opposition with everything that he's doing? What is his relationship with the community, and which communities? Because we have to, hold on, let me go back a little bit, Ms. Jackie, because people don't understand how big Houston is. First of all, HISD is the largest school district in Texas. It's the second or third largest in the nation.
No, it's the seventh in the nation.
Okay, in the nation. So the district here is humongous. And HISD, I always tell people, Houston is an hour away from Houston. So you could live on this side, and even where I live in Pearland, and on my way to work, I could cross over 2 or 3 districts that are 10 minutes away from HISD. I could cross over HISD school, but still be in It's so crazy the way it is here.
Right.
So understanding, or having people understand that, hey, yeah, this is going down at Madison right here, but Bel Air is 10 minutes up 610, and this is not going down over there. Or Lamar is another 5 minutes away from there, and it's not going down over there. So same school district, 10, 15, 20 minutes apart from each other, and things are just different. So what has his relationship been with each of those communities, or the different communities? Do you see a difference between how he treats the communities of Hiram Clark, South Park, versus the communities of River Oaks?
Well, I think he has a very sketchy relationship with, for sure, on the north. I'll say on the north side, where most of the NES schools are. I had a meeting with Mr. Miles, and I was very taken aback by his attitude. And I asked him, would you just stop creating a culture of fear and intimidation? He rules by fear and intimidation. But who is fearful and who is intimidated? The only people that would be fearful or intimidated are people who feel powerless. The people on the Bel Air, those people that you mentioned, they don't fear Mike Miles. They don't fear him, because they have the means,
right,
to fight back, to push back. They are not, let me see how to say this. I don't want to offend anybody, but a lot of our parents think that schools are a place to drop their kids off and everything is left to the school.
Yes.
You know, this we don't keep kids. Who's gonna keep my kid? I heard that so many times when the decision was made to have to close the school. Well, who's gonna keep my kids? That's not what we do anyway.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep your kids. So I think they get the attitude that, oh well, I drop them off at school and everything is okay. So those kinds of norms and reforms that he's pushing down are more accepted in certain communities than they are in the Bel Airs and the Lamars and the Laniers and the Penn Oaks. He couldn't go over there with that nonsense.
No.
He can't go over there with that, because he's going to be challenged. And they're going to demand data. They're going to demand respect. They're going to demand what's best for their children. If we could just get our people to stand up and not be afraid.
Man, I don't know.
You show me. You prove this to me. You have a right to know what's being shoved down. You know, there's no way in hell one of my children will be carrying no damn cone to the restroom.
A traffic cone. We're not talking about a little plastic, we're going to run outside and play games, a field day cone.
Okay.
A big old orange traffic cone.
There's no way that would happen to my child or my grandchildren. There's no way.
And
I don't care where I live.
I mean, it's so baffling to me, because, and I've said this several times, you know, I offend people every day, Ms. Jackie, they'll be okay. I said this so many times, and I always say our cousins, I'm talking to my cousins. Y'all got to stop. We come up to the school as parents for the craziest things. And then when the things that we need to come up to the school for, we don't. And they can almost always guarantee, bank on us not showing up for that stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Why they are able to get away with everything that they're able to get away with. And I tell parents, even where I am, and I live in I hate to say it like that, privileged area. Let me say that. Okay. An influence area where there are a bunch of Black people. And I tell them, even when I'm talking in a Facebook community group, I'm like, hey, don't y'all think for a second because you over here, you done moved on up like the Jeffersons and we in a decent school district where we think our kids are getting everything that y'all kids are entitled to. Don't think for a second that they're not messing over our kids too and y'all don't have to show up.
Exactly.
They are deliberately messing over our kids because they know y'all ain't showing up. The only thing y'all gonna show up for is sports. Now let them change your coach out, baby. They up there fighting mad with pitchforks and torches. But if they say, hey, we're not offering an African American studies curriculum and we don't give a damn what y'all got to say about it, they stay quiet. It's like you hear that, it's so quiet. And I'm like, I don't understand. That doesn't make sense to me. The things that y'all need to be coming up there fighting for. And where I am, Miss Jackie, the presence of some of us sitting in the back of that school board meeting shakes them up. Because they like, oh shit, they done came out. Why are they here? What's going on? What's going on? They can't stand to see us getting together because they make it think that we plotting and planning. And they don't like that. So I tell parents, if y'all just show up and sit down in the back, you're going to get them. They're going to be shook. They going to be nervous. But we can't even do that.
And I'm thankful now that the parents have started showing up at the HISD meetings. You know, at first it was 40, then it was 50, then it was 60. At the last meeting, it was over 100. And they need to keep showing up.
Now, are they allowing them to talk now? Because I know at one point they put some restrictions on what they can say and all this other food.
Well, only 1 minute. They only have 1 minute because the state law says only a certain % of the meeting can be used for public comment. So the more speakers you have, the less time you have. So it's now down to 1 minute per speaker. But if you plan your speech, you can get it out. You can get it out in 1 minute.
Come on, Miss Jackie. Do we need to teach them how to plan a speech?
Yes, ma'am. You can plan it. You can plan your points. You can get it out.
Now, I say, and I've said this several times before, I think where I am, it may be 3 minutes. Okay, depending on, like you said, how many people show up. If you get one person to write a good old paper, and it's 6 or 7 of y'all that stands up, this one you cut off, I'm gonna highlight it in orange. You pick up right here. We're gonna get it all out. Everybody here gonna say what we have to say.
That's right. That's all you have to do.
Show up so we can get it done.
That's right.
Woo,
show up. You know, and y'all hear people saying, what is the union going to do? What is the union going to do? As president of the teachers union, I have 6,100 members, okay? Out of 10,000 teachers. Okay. My advocacy is first to teachers because that's who I represent. But you cannot help students without helping teachers. I told Mr. Miles that. If you don't feed the teachers, they're going to eat the students.
Hello.
The teacher's working condition is the student's learning condition. Okay? So you can't help them without helping teachers. What is the union going to do? We show up every day. But at some point, I tell parents, you got to show up.
Hello.
These are your kids. I can show up and advocate for teachers, but I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to give you the avenue. I'm trying to feed you the information, but you got to show up for your kids.
Yeah.
You got to show up. You got to show up at board meetings. You got to show up at the schools. They can't stop you from coming in at school. As a parent, you need to go. Don't just drop your child off and drive off. You need to drop your child off, park that car, go sign in that office and go in that teacher's classroom. You need to see what's happening every 4 minutes. You need to see these worksheets. You need.
Are they still letting parents come in?
They can't stop you from coming into school.
Oh, because you know, after COVID, babe, a lot of them changed their rules as far as
COVID is over. COVID is over. COVID is over.
Okay, so parents. So now that we know that, y'all go in and look at these cones and look at this 4 minute rotations and DOLs and
you need to go look at, and I can tell you how annoying it is because at one of the board meetings, people had their watches set to go off every 4 minutes in the board meeting one night.
Wow.
The board president said, please silence your phones. Please silence your phones every 4 minutes. No one did. Every 4 minutes, the ringers alarms went off on their people's watches and phones.
So they could see how disruptive that was for those babies learning.
Exactly. But you still allow him to do it.
Wow.
That's why I call him the rubber stamp board. Because it was very annoying in the meeting. And I was like, honestly, when you think about, you say every 4 minutes, but when you actually see it happening, honestly, it was very disruptive.
You can't get anything. We can't even get a warm up done in 4 minutes. I'm trying to think, how are these kids mastering anything?
They're not. That's the point. They don't want them to master anything.
Wow. So what are some other like major concerns that parents have brought up to the school board at the school board meetings that you can recall off the top of your head?
They've talked about the lack of the field trips. They've talked about, he ended the Christmas parties. They can't have birthday parties. They can't, it's just so many normal interactions that children have. They can't talk in the halls. When are they going to learn how to be social?
And then we get mad at them because they don't know how to solve.
Exactly. How are they going to learn how to problem solve?
Wow.
If they can't talk to their peers, if they can't negotiate, if they can't work things out. But let me tell you, they don't want. Let me say, education is a mechanism for upward mobility. They don't want that. They do not want children to learn how to interact. They are trying to create a permanent underclass.
Yes.
Compliant public service workers and agricultural workers who don't ask questions, who don't question authority. They need unskilled people to work 12 hours a day, making beds, washing dishes, things that they can't outsource. And they want them to be able to have to work 12 hours because that's the only way they're going to be able to pay their rent. And this NES model and these discipline policies are training these children how to be those kind of workers in 2035.
Right, which is his goal, 2035.
Yeah. So, because they need somebody to serve them.
Now, are these rules that he's implementing, are they across the board? Like the no restroom or taking calls to the restroom or no talking in the hallway? Or are these in those schools?
NES schools.
NES schools.
You think they're going to go to Lamar and tell them that?
I wish they would. Well, hell, they barely can get it done at Madison.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So this is why I say they have a certain sector of people figured out here at HISD that they're gearing to be the permanent underclass. Parents need to wake up. You need to wake up, parents, and see what's happening to your children. They are training them to be just you do what I tell you to do. You don't need to think. You don't need to ask questions. You just do what I tell you to do.
And if you don't, we got a place for you, aka the detention center or Harris County Jail.
That's right. 2035. That's the goal. That's the goal for 2035.
Jesus.
Underclass, and they're getting them ready to be in that society where they're going to be subservience.
See, and when you break it down like that, that just gave me the shivers, because as much as I know, I just didn't think about it that deep, and that's what's happening.
It is.
Oh my goodness. So since we're here, let's go ahead and talk about. I'm going to get to the recent student protests and walkout at Madison High School, but let's talk about which schools and areas that this is impacting right now. So we know we got Madison High School, which is I'm saying South Park. It's Hiram Clark, South Houston, Southwest Houston.
But Madison wasn't an NES.
It was not an NES school. Now, are they an NES aligned school?
I'm not even sure they were NES. Oh, I think they were NES aligned. Let me look.
Or was that one of the schools where he kind of basically told them, y'all are not any of these yet, but you're going to follow this model anyway?
I'll tell you. Hold on.
Okay.
I got my little notes right here, because a lot of times Madison was an NES aligned school.
Okay, so tell people the difference between an NES school and an NES aligned school.
So the NES schools were supposedly the low performing schools who were DRF rated. Those schools had no choice. They were NES campuses, first identified NES campuses. Then some principals just begged to be a part of this system. Oh, they saw it and they wanted to be a part, and they cried and they begged Mr. Miles to be a part of this system. Those schools were NES aligned.
Okay.
Well, apparently the principal who begged Mr. Miles to be in this system at Madison was removed. And so a lot of people were like, well, we didn't ask for this. She asked for it and she's not even here.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we participating in this? Then we found out later that some schools didn't actually beg Mr. Miles to be in this system. Some principals just decided that they were going to be in this system because they were intimidated by Mr. Miles and told, you will do it.
Right.
You better do it. If you don't do it, then next year you will be, if you don't have what we want you to be and have what so it was the big lie. That's what it was. The big lie.
So they were voluntold that they would be.
They were voluntold. If you don't do it this year, you will be. So some of them, he was so happy. Some of these principals begging, so they're going to be NES aligned. They'll get all the supports of the NES schools. They just won't get the money. They won't get the bonus. They won't get they won't get the raises that the other schools got. But some of the principals like, we wanted our teachers to make more money, so we went ahead and did it. Okay, whatever.
And your teachers ain't getting a dime, but y'all stressed.
Thank you.
And people get removed every other day.
That's right, and all this BS. So,
oh Lord. Okay, let's go ahead and touch on Madison High School for a brief moment. So we saw in the media that those students, which I'm very proud of, by the way. I know people hate for me as an educator to say that I am proud of students for being non-compliant. I hate that word.
I'm proud of them too, but I want to know where their parents are.
Okay. That's another conversation, Ms. Jackie. But so let's talk about that. Now, the media, what everybody's hearing from the media, which is what, people often run with, is that the students are only throwing a temper tantrum because their phones are being taken away, right? Now, from this humongous Google Drive folder that I have received from these teachers and these students, again, proud of them because they're learning how to document things that happened, and this could benefit them in the workplace in the future. It's deeper than, we're just taking cell phones to stop the kids from recording fights. Now, as a middle school teacher and as a teacher that taught high school, I would be crazy to say that kids are not recording foolishness with their phones, because we know what they're doing. We know they're in the bathroom making TikToks. We know that they're recording, them vaping in the bathroom. We know that they are recording things that they should not be recording, and we know that they on the phone in class, or they're not supposed to be on the phone in class. But that's not the major issue. The major issue, which I'm discovering with these kids and why they don't want them to have their phones, is because they are recording and documenting the things that are happening on their campus, which they don't want to be out.
That's correct. When I first heard that, I think I posted somewhere, let's be real. The phones are not the problem.
Not the problem.
The problem is Mike Miles doesn't want anything happening on those campuses getting out to the public. He even told me to stop going to the media. Stop. You need to stop going to the media. You need to stop. You need to stop going posting everything in the media. You need to stop. No. Because if I could talk to you, I wouldn't have to go to the media, because we'd have consultation. I could sit down and talk to you, but we don't have that. So yes, I will go to the media. And by the way, I don't have to go to the media. The media comes to me.
Hello. I'm trying to get on your level, Ms.
So
I'm trying to get like you.
I said, the phone is not the issue. Now, and I do not want them to lose the message that they're trying to get out. I feel there's something there.
Yeah.
It's way bigger than the phones.
Absolutely.
But the phone is the avenue for them to get out their message. And if they are not careful, I have reached out to some of the parents. If they're not careful, HISD has a big money machine called public media, public relations. They're going to spin that story in a way that puts those children in a bad light.
Yeah.
He's already saying he's going to suspend them if they walk out.
Yeah. Okay. It has already started suspending them.
That's right. And if they get suspended, what are they supposed to do? Now, I'm going to tell you, I think they need to get a third party involved someone who is can come in, sit down with them and the district, and come to some type of an agreement about what's really going on in Madison. Now, I was a teacher. I know I'm not going to say the phone. I every day put that phone up, put that phone up, put that phone up. Right. I know that. But that's not the reason. That is, because at first they were saying the phones were the problem. No, no. The phone is not the problem. The problem is the phone is the problem because you don't want the real story to get out.
And that's what's happening. That's what's happening. So I posted a couple of times, and it's so weird that all of a sudden now all of my HISD posts are being reported. They're not, the algorithm is not picking it up. I find that so crazy. So I already know that some higher ups are responsible for reporting my videos.
Because at the beginning of this, we were getting national coverage. I had New York Times, I had Washington Post, I had all of these people, and they still are. Mm-hmm. ABC's nationally contacted me. In fact, I have a whole sit-down interview. They're coming here because he does not want this information to be shared out publicly. He wants to be able to paint his agenda, his propaganda. He wants to put it out unchecked. He wants to put lipstick on his pig. When he have straight from the source, put out all these lies about how wonderful things are when actually this is the Titanic.
Right. And I've seen, and I had I don't know if you were able to catch it. I did a podcast last week with one of the students from Madison High School, really, really intelligent young man, he told me, he made sure to tell me he has not committed. We do these big old signing days for these athletes, but nobody ever talks about a signing day for the academic kids and the fine arts kids. But he said that he's been accepted to a few schools for their journalism program, and he just has not committed yet. And I say, see, but we're focusing on the kids that are choosing to do the opposite of this young man. If this is a young man that's in this school, are we saying that this is a young man that is not deserving of a library? Is this a young man that deserves to walk down the hallway with a damn cone just to go to the restroom? So this is the picture that's being painted. And in that conversation that I had with this young man, we talked about, A-roll and B-roll film, right? What's really going on versus where the camera is going to pan off to. And when I'm watching the news coverage on about the protest online and on different media outlets, you got students that are standing there with these beautiful signs, right? Kids that are actually outside doing what they're supposed to do, beautiful signs with beautiful messages on them. But who is the camera panning to? The kids that are over there tussling. We had one little kid that was making like sexual gestures and gyrations toward the camera. And that's what you're focusing on. So now what does everybody think? Oh, these kids just wanted to get out of class. Exactly. These kids just want to be outside acting a fool. Because we moved the camera away from the kids that had the message.
And that's what's going to happen if they have to get a third party in there to sit down with those students who actually have a legitimate concern, a legitimate message, that can sit down with them in HISD to get their story told. Otherwise, HISD is going to control that narrative.
It's going to control it.
And they're going to get with the media. And what we're going to see is the BS of the whole situation.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, the phones are going to end up being the problem. It's not the problem.
Yeah.
That is not the problem. And it has been neglected for years.
Hello. And I graduated from Woolridge High School, which is, again, 10 minutes. It's in Fort Bend, but 10 minutes down the way, depending on which side of South Post Oak you go down. But, grew up in Hiram Clark because I spent Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays with my granny off of Anderson Road, going to Mount Moriah Baptist Church right off up in there. So I'm very well. This is not anything new. This is nothing new at all. It's just getting exposed. But the videos that I have seen from students and even teachers, because the teachers are so scared. We're going to talk about bullying in a second too. But the teachers are so scared. I'm like, y'all, if a few of y'all could just muster up the strength and the courage to talk, it'll be wonderful. But so everybody is talking to me anonymously, and I'm like, hey, there's only so much I could do with anonymous. Or if you you just want to talk to me to vent, you can text me, you can email me to vent. But if you don't want me to talk about your specific situation, I can't keep putting toward energy if you don't want to fight. I don't even work in the school district, so but I want to do everything I can for y'all. But the videos that I'm seeing being sent by the teachers and the students, let's go to Madison, back to Madison. This executive director and this area superintendent, this Miss De LaGuardia and Miss Doria, I've seen, I don't know if you saw it, Ms. Jackie, I'll send it to you if you haven't. I saw a video where there's a young man, he's being very well spoken, not being confrontational or physical, anything like that. He's just recording the student walkout. He's just standing there recording. And you see the little Miss Doria is all in his face, trying to snatch his ID badge from around his neck. And she succeeds. She snatches this ID badge from around this young man's neck. And the first thing I could think of is, what if that boy had a reflex and cocked back and hit you? You would be the victim. But you have no right to put your hands on a child. And then she was trying to snatch his phone out of his hand. And when he follows her into the office, you can see, because he's still recording, he's telling her, you can't tell me I can't record. You can't take my phone. And he says, you attacked me. You tried to assault me. And she says, no, I didn't. I didn't do anything. Immediately turns into the victim. And every time I post that video, Miss Jackie, it gets taken down. It gets reported. But these are the things that these parents or the media, HISD does not want to get out, because you can't tell me who this person is and why this person is putting her hands on these children. And that's what these children are recording. They're telling y'all, this is how we're being spoken to. This is how our teachers are being spoken to. This is how we're being treated. And you want to silence us. They say that lady, Miss Doria, there used to be a time, even in my school now, my principal don't play that getting on the announcements every 5 minutes, disrupting the learning environment. She does not play that. If you want to make an announcement, you can make it in the morning, or you can make it the last 5 minutes before that bell rings.
That's the policy in HISD.
This lady, they send me a recording. This lady gets on that intercom every 30 minutes and talking about a bunch of nothing.
So in addition to the every 4 minute interruption you have trying to teach, you got her coming on every period with her nonsense. But let me back up to the phone situation, because I don't know if you saw the video where the principal had the student in a headlock.
In a chokehold. Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Okay. So this is what they don't want you to see. See, this is what they don't want you to see. But what happened to him? If that had been a teacher, they would have been terminated on the spot. They are controlling this narrative. He came back to school that day after his little investigation, bragging about how I'm still a principal here. So,
and them getting you on camera. I got that one too. You chased the girl into the girls' restroom to get a phone.
Okay.
Got you coming out of the girls' restroom.
And so this is, like I said, this is way out of hand. Something needs to be done, and it needs to be done quickly. These parents need to mobilize. They need to demand a meeting with their third party person and sit down. And I'm not saying go in there, with a lot of brouhaha. And I'm just saying they need to sit. Those children wrote a beautiful letter outlining their demands. They need to sit down with someone at the district and talk about what's happening at Madison. Because Mr. Miles, contrary to what he believes, he cannot micromanage every school in this district. And everybody he has put in place are not effective leaders. They're too busy trying to follow his model instead of being a genuine professional. So something needs to be done, because everything is going to get lost in the message that they're trying to put out, which I believe is something effective they're trying to put out something that is true. And this is why the district has taken the stand they've taken, because they don't want the real story to come out.
Right. So speaking of leaders in these schools, can we talk about how I just find it very ironic that initially Madison, knowing the demographics of an area such as Madison, Black and brown predominantly, initially when the NES process was going to happen, they had Black leaders. They had Black leaders and some Black male leaders. And then all of a sudden, we are now, it's all Hispanic as far as the top leadership goes at that school. I find it very odd that I've always been a firm believer that leadership needs to be reflective of the student demographic.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
not saying that there should not be any Hispanic leaders in top leadership there, but the top leadership should be reflective of all students there. And I'm not talking about the APs, because they rotating them APs out like panties out here. Because it's a new AP on the campus, or AP apprentice or whatever, every 5 minutes. But I'm talking about area superintendent, executive director, principal.
Yes.
All Hispanic, placed there after they have gotten rid of the Black leadership at that campus.
Mm-hmm.
I just find that so odd. And again, I don't care what people say. People not gonna like what I'm getting ready to say, but our kids only respond to certain people.
That's absolutely true.
And I feel like this is a part of their plan to make those kids fail or send those kids off to elsewhere. I like to call it elsewhere, where they send them to different behavior programs or expel. I call it elsewhere, because you already know that our kids are not going to respond well to some of these people that are in their face. Did you see the video where the principal is telling the kid, trying to gaslight the kid because the kid's recording? Hey, well, since you're recording, why did you tell me you were voting for Trump? And the kid is like, what? What are you talking about? And he said, yeah, you told me you were voting for Trump and that you love Chick-fil-A and you love Starbucks and your favorite place to eat. Those people don't care about us. And he started talking about the Palestinian war. Like, why are you talking about this with this kid? Because he's recording you. Mm-hmm. But even still, that's unprofessional.
It's very unprofessional.
And another teacher sent me an email. She was asking, maybe for, like, I guess trying to take her club or somebody somewhere. And I don't know if this teacher said, I was sent this email. I'm not gonna say this because I never talked to that specific teacher, but somebody sent me that email. And she was asking for like Chick-fil-A or something like that. Is there any room in the budget, or is Chick-fil-A one of the vendors for our school so we can get the kids fed? And the principal was like, no, Chick-fil-A does not support the LGBTQ plus community, which I'm hearing that he's a member of. And because they don't support, he's not going to use any of Madison's budget to pay for them. And I said, are we allowed to do that? Are we allowed to put our personal opinions and our personal biases towards making decisions that are best for kids? I just found it just to be so crazy. Well, but again, I'm going to say allegedly for everything.
Well, when it starts at the top, it starts at the top. So when the person at the top is using their personal agenda for doing what they think is best for kids, whether anybody else agrees or disagrees, then it trickles down. Yeah. It trickles down. And he obviously has kissed the ring and is wearing the Team Mike jersey. So he's going to get away with doing whatever he wants to do.
Whatever he wants to do. So let's get into the bullying, because that's one of the major things I'm getting from a lot of the teachers. Main thing, going back to this Miss De La Guardia, who I believe is the executive director at Madison High School, and her faculty meeting that she had with those teachers, and the way she spoke to those teachers at that faculty meeting at Madison High School. And this is what those teachers are being subjected to at Madison High School, where basically everything that's happening is your fault. If you would have done this, this wouldn't have happened. And if this is not the place for you, you need to leave. You need to walk out and blah, blah, blah. These teachers are being bullied by administration. Let's talk about that.
Well, HISD, maybe some of these people don't know because they haven't been here long. HISD has a no bullying policy. So if you are being bullied, you should file a grievance. If you're in the union, one will be filed for you. There is a policy that exists. It has not gone away, contrary to popular belief, I guess. So some of these people, I'm just going to say they're ignorant to the fact that there's a policy against bullying in HISD. So if I were those teachers and I was being bullied, and if I was really afraid to do it, then I would get a group of teachers on my campus and we would file it against the administration together as a group. About these bully principals, bully administrators, bully EDs, or whatever the case may be.
Okay, that's good to know. So have you seen the write-ups that the teachers are not starting to get for the kids being on their phones while the teacher is supposed to be at the board teaching. These teachers are not starting to post their write-ups. We got Wall Trip High School where the teacher posted his write-up, 3 write-ups, and he was walked off of campus. One for not having his DOL on the board, one for a student being on the cell phone, and one for attending his father's funeral.
Fear and intimidation.
Mm-hmm.
Now you come see, and here again, they want to put everything on the back of the teacher. I'm the phone police. I got everything, and this is why these parents need to wake up. You are not you're sending your children to school to be educated. All of this extra stuff they want to put on the back of the teacher. No, how can you teach if you got to monitor the phone? How can you be at the board delivering instruction, walking around delivering instruction? Because if you on the east side of the room, the kid on the west side of the room is going to be doing something. How are you supposed to see that? And while you're teaching, you're in the north side of the room, the kid on the south side of the room. You are there to teach, not be it's not your job.
Right.
You got administrators who need to do that. Well, first of all, Mike Miles said that was going to be the administrator's job. When he came in with his NES model, the administrators were going to have to come out of their office and they were going to have to be the ones taking care of discipline. Where's all of that? All the discipline is going to the teachers, nothing to the kids.
To the teacher.
They're still doing whatever the hell they want to do. But the teachers, you want to write them up and make them responsible for a child's phone. Why didn't you, as the administrator, take that phone when they walked in the door?
And that was an email that one of the teachers responded to. She did a reply. I keep saying she, but they did a reply all to the admin. Like, hey, why am I being punished? And I'm looking out of this 2400 pod, and I saw so many kids, or I've seen so many kids walk by you guys, the administrators, with their phones, and you said nothing to them.
Okay.
You're the administrator
of my room where I'm charged with teaching them. It's now my responsibility to police phones, pick up phones, and be responsible for 5 or 10 phones in one classroom every period. I'm going to spend my time worrying about telephones.
Yeah. And we've seen these kids get belligerent behind their phones, violent behind their phones.
No, I haven't seen it. I've experienced it. I experienced it.
So now what preventions are put in place for those teachers?
Well, HISD has a policy. Okay, wasn't new. This is what I'm saying. They coming up all this stuff at HISD had a policy of phones being turned off during the school day. And while you're making a big issue over taking up the phones, just make the issue turn the phone off.
And wanding the kids at the door, telling the teachers to get to work early so that they can participate in wanding a kid at the door. We don't want these kids for drugs and want these kids for this other foolishness that they bring into the schools, but we wanting them for cell phones.
Because I saw where they wanted, where would checking a kid at Madison who supposedly had a gun. It turned out to be a BB gun.
A BB gun,
but he had a vape pen and they didn't take that.
Yeah.
So
we draw the
phone is the problem. I tell you.
Wow. So
teachers are going to have to band together. They're going to have to stop acting in silos. This is why you need the union, because I can say what I want to say. Miles can't fire me.
Right.
So you need to band together, make your concerns known as a group, and get it out there. You cannot do anything in a silo. This is happening to your school community, not just one person. One person can't tackle this.
Yeah.
This is what they got to learn. This is why the union is not just about striking. The union is about making conditions better for everyone. As I said, the teacher's working condition is the student's learning condition. If teachers are in fear, intimidated in this culture of degradation and being demeaned, how can they teach? How can they be effective? They have to be well. mentally, emotionally, physically. And all of this stress will hurt them physically eventually.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Ms. Jackie, because I've had some teachers that have reached out that have said like their mental health has taken a toll. I got some teachers saying that they've gone to their doctors to get their depression and anxiety medicine increased. One teacher told me that they're at the point where they can barely even make it out of the bed because their meds have them just kind of zoned out. But the only way they're able to function is on that medication. Now that is insane. Well, first of all, we paying these teachers nothing because that ain't enough money to make me stress out like that. I don't care if it is more money than the average teacher, but anxiety medication, depression medication, because I'm being bullied just to be able to cope with the workday. That's insane.
It is insane. And it's unacceptable. That's why I'm saying these teachers, let me tell you something. They have the power. Just like the teacher is the great equalizer. I mean, the parent is the equalizer here. But you know what? You have your teachers who can help you as parents. Parents can help teachers. They can turn the tide on this thing. They got to stop sitting back, allowing themselves to be punching bags, to be bullied, to be intimidated. He cannot fire every teacher in this district. If they band together, they can put a stop to this nonsense.
So let's talk about. I know I'm moving off of the topic or off our agenda, but let's talk about what that would look like. Because in my mind, I'm a rebel. I'm a radical. I've been getting in trouble all my life for doing the wrong thing, Miss Jackie. But in my mind, if even my mama is watching my TikToks, my mom is like, "That man gonna put a hit out on your ass."
I'm surprised you might have one out on me.
It's coming. We're gonna be together though, Miss Jackie. It's gonna be all right. But my thing was, hey, I know we can't technically strike, but y'all need to get together and everybody needs to be sick. Y'all need to catch that little bug that's going around and had all of this last week.
Okay.
And I'm like, are y'all fearful of doing that? Because they can't tell you how to use your sick days. And if you he's
trying, but strategically, something can be done. You know, I don't want to get on here and start talking about because I'm sure he's going to watch this, or his people are going to watch it.
Of course,
tell him everything that was said because he follows me like a hound with a something. Well, anyway, something can be done, and strategically that can be done. I'll say that. We don't want to announce things like that.
Absolutely,
but you know. You have so many teachers who are afraid. Now, let me tell you, are you going to be afraid to protect yourself? Or are you going to be afraid to be mistreated? Which one are you? If you're going to be, you got to pick what you want here, you know? And I'm not sitting here advocating striking. I'm not sitting here, I'm not advocating, sick outs or anything like that. But I'm just saying, strategically, something can be done to change the tide on this.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
I'm
with you because I'm getting reports of the principals berating the teachers in front of the students, the EDs berating the teachers in staff meetings and in front of students. The constant write-up. Somebody said they have been written up 4 times in 5 days. For something like not having this on the board. Our kid was doing this. You were not walking the power zone or whatever. And I'm thinking, how y'all got time and energy for all of that? That makes me great.
Why didn't you write the kid up? Then why are you writing me up?
Because they scared of them kids.
I'm here to teach. So if it's not something about the instructional model, you shouldn't be writing me up.
Yeah.
You should be addressing that to the kid.
But even with the instructional model, some of these things just seem to me to be unrealistic because, like I said, okay, you told me I have to do writing conferences. Okay, that means I'm at my desk doing individual writing conferences because that's what you said I had to do. So now that this is the time where I'm sitting at my desk doing a writing conference with the student, why are you sending somebody by my classroom to spy on me? All these top-heavy administrative positions y'all have in the district office that I thought y'all didn't have the money for. Why are people peeking through my blinds, peeking through my window, saying, hey, in the back far left corner, I saw a kid with this phone in his crotch?
See, as I said, this model is not sustainable. It's not going to work. This is the Titanic. You're adding more weight to the ship.
Mm-hmm.
It's already sinking. This is not going to work. It's not going to work. And it's not going to work. This model you're trying to use is not going to work.
And somebody said, I got a couple of emails from teachers on the North Division. I'm not sure. When I worked at HISD, we had I can't remember how we had a call. They were divided up. I was on the South, different little regions, and I was with who was that mean old man? Lord, I can't remember that man.
Warner Irvin.
Hello. That's so we were divided up into that where the South office was off of Hiram Clark by the Early Childhood Center. So I don't know. The North Division, that's what people are saying. They are entering teachers' classrooms and removing their personal items without their permission.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with that? Have you heard complaints about that?
I have. This another way of disrespecting teachers. Now, when Miles first came in, he told the teachers this wasn't their Zen space. He didn't want any personal items. The rooms needed to be sterile. He gave them a list of things that he wanted up, and every room needed to be the same way. They all needed to look the same. So he removed the classroom libraries and all the little cute things off the wall. Reminded me of a prison. When I heard what he was asking for, it reminded me of a prison. So getting people's mind, get your mind right for what's to come for you in 2035. This speaks to the compliant individuals that don't ask questions, do what you're told to do. If you ever heard of a school to prison pipeline, this is what we're experiencing right now.
What it is. And what's crazy is that, hell, even the prisoners get to put a little poster or something up on
the family pictures. Exactly.
This is insanity.
So you're using the teachers to foster this mentality of subservient individuals who don't have a mind, who walk around like little robots, and you want teachers to do the same thing. Because last week, I heard in some schools where the principals now were walking the teachers down the hall, practicing how it's supposed to look for children.
You are kidding me.
Oh, no, I'm not.
How degrading.
So I know we're going to be having some conversations next week with some of our members who have called about practicing walking in the hall. You have the adults doing that. Very degrading. Very degrading.
Wow. So speaking of, what are some other things? I want to hear like some of the major grievances that you guys have had to file and possibly maybe are in negotiations with now or have won, things that have just been outright outlandish.
Well, first of all, this pay dispute was the biggest. Telling people they're going to be making 90 and they get there and it's 60. Telling people, also this working time, like telling them that they gotta come to work and at a certain time. Well, teachers prior to that had a defined work day,
right?
And now you're telling them that they have to work longer than that defined work day with no extra pay. Telling them if they're doing tutorials, that is a part of their work day. Oh no, the hell it's not. Telling them if they have to, teachers might have, the principal might ask them to do an ad hoc committee meeting and, they need to be prepared to do that. Well, no, you need to respect my time and my work-life balance. And if you're going to have a meeting, you need to set these meetings up on a specific day so I can make arrangements in my personal calendar to attend those meetings. But this ad hoc meeting stuff, no.
Like what he did at 6:30 the other night, sent a message. He said, I'm doing it on Zoom. Yeah. Everybody, it's a mandatory meeting.
Now, see, I would have just acted like I didn't even see that.
Hello.
What you talking about?
Hello. What email?
Oh, no. What? Yeah, what email? So, people need, it's just, you have to stand up for yourself. You have to stand up for yourself. Now, like when he told the nurses, that was one big thing we had to really do a big pushback on, get the legal team involved, telling them they had to work on Saturday for 2 Saturdays and to give injections to children who had not been, had their immunizations. But why did you let them in school if they hadn't had them?
Hello. Thank you.
You should have made them get them before they got in school, and then you wouldn't have to come back in November and tell nurses that they're going to have to work for free. No. So it's always something in HISD that infringes upon people's personal time. And him thinking that they can do that they have a right to do that because, you have to work and your contract, you don't have to get paid. You just have to do the work when the work needs to be done.
When the work needs to be done.
That's you. That's you, Mike Miles. You make $1,500 a day. You can do that. Because like I've told him, because of the piddly pay in Texas schools, when here again, the state is sitting on $38 billion surplus. Not $1 went to teacher salaries. Not $1 went to public education. Many of our teachers have extra jobs.
Yes, we do. I'm one of them.
So you can't tell me that you want me to stay and work 2 hours here, 2 hours there when you taking money out of my pocket because I have to go to an extra job.
Yeah, because you won't pay me worth a damn.
That's right. So if you pay me, then maybe I can have that time to give to you. But I'm sure that will be a continued fight, and we will continue to have that fight because even if you are an employee who doesn't get paid by the hour, you still have a reasonable expectation of a work day.
Right.
And you don't work around the clock. You don't work 24 hours a day, and you're not on call. So that will probably be a continued fight. And if we have to take it all the way to the Supreme Court, we will.
Hello.
Because that's not an expectation, and it should never be an expectation. Now, if you are a manager, if you're Mike Miles and any of those people who work up there with him, then maybe you have that expectation. But that's not an expectation for teachers.
Because what about these teachers that have one teacher told me that they were in a meeting. I think this was a teacher on the North Division. I get a lot of complaints from the North Division. Teacher on the North Division said that they had an emergency after school meeting, but their kids were dropped off at their job at a specific time. I guess that's the routine they had in place. The transportation service dropped their kids off because that would be the time that they would normally be getting off of work, and they needed to go outside and meet their kids. And the principal wrote the teacher up for leaving. And the teacher's like, no, my kids are right here. I need to go get my kids. My kids are just out here unattended. And it was, well, no, I said that we have a meeting and you can't leave. And I'm telling you, I'm going to get my kid because I'm not going to have be questioned by CPS for leaving my child unsupervised. So this is the kind of bullying and control tactics that are being used, and these teachers are scared. And I'm just like, how is it that somebody, a human, is having this much power over another human being to where the teachers are like, I'm scared to move. I'm scared to be sick. I'm scared to call in. I'm scared to go to the restroom. That is blowing my mind because I go to the restroom 20 times a day because I drink water all day. So I could not imagine my leadership telling me when and where I, as an adult, a degree, professional, credentialed adult, can use the restroom.
And that is the same attitude that these teachers need to have. You have to go, that's a normal body function. And in fact, you cannot even tell children that they cannot go to the bathroom.
Right.
The Texas Penal Code. You cannot use time in a restroom as a punishment or tell people when they can and cannot go to the restroom. Check the Texas code.
Wow.
So if you have to go to the restroom, you have to go. That's a body function.
And again, it goes back to putting things in books, right? They always say, what do they tell us? If you want to keep something from a Black person, put it in the book.
There you go.
And I tell teachers all the time, y'all better open that Texas education code and use that, because even when I saw an article that Miles was threatening the kids with Chapter 37, if they protested and walked out, I'm like, guys, have y'all read Chapter 37? It sounds good on paper. It sounds good, so it scares y'all on paper because it sounds important. But have y'all read through Chapter 37? Do you know if he can do this or not using Chapter 37?
No.
I'm like, come on, y'all. He playing in y'all face. I feel disrespected, and I don't even work here.
Okay.
I just...
so one thing about him they need to understand is whatever he says, check it out.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Wow. So how do we improve the teacher's mental health? Now, going back to what you said, and it's something that I say often too. A happy teacher is a productive teacher. Productive teacher gonna produce productive kids. So if our teacher's mental health is in shambles, how do we change that? Because we have to have our teachers right. Our teachers have to be 100%.
That's correct. We do have within our organization, and this is not to be a sales pitch, but we understand that we have wellness activities, wellness classes, counseling services for members who can get counseling sessions, things to enhance their mental well-being. At this stage of the game in HISD, my heart goes out to people who don't have an outlet.
Right.
This is why you have to have a work-life balance. You have to be able to turn this stuff off. You cannot just be so consumed. And that's why I spend a lot of time listening to my members. When they call me at 9:30, 10 o'clock, 7 in the morning, that's the time they have. I take the time to listen, to be a sounding board, because guess what? They got to talk to somebody.
Right.
They got to talk to somebody. And we do have services available from the state level from our national level, that teachers can get counseling services, trauma services, and things of that nature. And always we're looking for any way we can to help them overcome these predicaments. If it's legal, so be it. Whatever we can do to assist them, because we know for the greater good, it's going to help more than that person if it has to go legal.
Right.
But we cannot just sit idly by and watch the dismantling of public education in HISD, because it's going on right now in real time. So before I move on to this, I got two more important questions for you. Before I move on to those two important questions, tell us, and I know you said not to be a sales pitch or whatever, but I remember when I did my stint at HISD, I was at Albert Thomas Middle School and Jones High School, and I was the union steward. Tell the people how they can join, if it's too late for them to join, how much it is for them to join, and the importance of them joining, even if it's not no strike, even if it's not a big teachers union, or the impact that we see happening in other schools. What's the importance of them being a member? Well, you're going to see more happening in HFT than you will in any teachers union in HISD, because we're the largest, the most aggressive. We were termed the most aggressive by Spectrum News. Like I said, with 10,000 teachers and 6,100 members, there's some power there.
Right.
They can join by going to our website at hft2415.org. It's never too late to join. It's never too late to build power. You can find out everything we're doing at our Wednesday meeting. Every Wednesday, we have meetings for members. We keep them apprised of what's going on, our next course of action, our movements, how we mobilize. We're educating our members. We're educating them politically what needs to happen, because believe me, what happened to HISD started in Austin is not going to change unless it changes in Austin. So we can talk about it. We can jump up and down. We can do whatever we want to do until we get the right people in Austin. Nothing is going to change.
Nothing's going
to change. And we are beginning to educate our members so they can educate their families about the importance of voting. It has to end. It's not going to end until it's changed in Austin. Right. We have to have the correct people there, people who care about us and not their own self-interest. To make that change. So, like I said, they can go to our website. You can join online. The website has a lot of information. Almost every article, everything we've talked about today is on that article, is on the website in detail. They can get a chance to know the staff on that website. We have a newsletter one come out on Monday or Tuesday of every week, and one on Friday called The Occupation, which is an update of everything HISD, everything HISD takeover. So there's always a way. And as I said, it's never too late to join, because that means it's 6101, 6102. 6103, and as numbers grow, power grows.
Power grows. Amen. All right, so let me second to last question for you, Miss Jackie. What do you think? What do you think is needed, essential for rebuilding the trust and the collaboration between the community, the teachers, and Mike Miles? What can Mike Miles do to establish or rebuild? I can't even say rebuild because he was never built.
Now, we are going to say, I don't think there's anything Mike Miles can do, because it was destroyed from the day he walked in here with his arrogant attitude. What can happen is for Mike Marath and those people who are holding the gun right now, is to put it down and get Mike Miles out of HISD. Restore our democratically elected board, and let us, before it's too late, it's not going to be too late, before it would take longer to repair the harm that has been done. So there's always a way to repair, but it's less work if it's not, a car can be total or a car can be damaged.
Right.
So we're still in the damage phase. So we can repair damage. We don't need it totally destroyed and have to rebuild. But Mike Miles has destroyed any trust that we could ever have, because first of all, he's been caught in too many lies. And one thing about most people, if you tell them a lie and they find out you're lying, it's very hard to.
It's done.
Yeah, you. It's hard to start. Say, okay, what are you gonna say? Okay, I'm gonna tell the truth. That's why we wore the Pinocchio noses,
right?
So it's hard to say, okay, I'm gonna tell the truth now. Well, really? How do we know you're telling the truth now? So, for this district to resume repairing itself, he needs to go. And this is another reason why, since I have the opportunity, and I know you have a vast audience, vote no on any bond that HISD tries to put forth.
Okay, that's good.
How are you going to give this man a blank check? Absolutely not. And they're already starting their little campaign for the bond. Our schools are in disrepair. Oh, we need to do this to HVAC this. And you know what? You passed the bond and you didn't do anything the last time. So let's get his ass out of here. Excuse me, audience who offended.
You're good.
Let's get him out of here. Restore our democratically elected board, people who are accountable to us and not Abbott. And we could talk about a bond. But right now, hell no.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good information to know. And I'm gonna take that one a step further, Ms. Jackie, and say if you are in HISD allowed to regain a traditional board of trustees and the democratic process, now parents, don't let this happen again. This is what happens when we're not present and when we're not accountable and available. So
and
now
you're absolutely correct. Because when it was first announced in January that they were going to take this board over, and I started having press conferences. I started going around in the community, having conversations. People were looking at us like, what y'all talking about? Why y'all doing it? Oh, well, HISD need to have some changes. We never said it didn't need to have changes. Everything can change for the better. But this is not the answer. We kept telling them, this is not the answer. This takeover is not the answer. Stop it. Say something now. I can't even tell you how many protests, rallies, how many meetings, community meetings with other organizations, the NAACP, ACLU. I cannot tell you how many I was every day in some kind of meeting trying to educate our communities about how detrimental, how harmful, how catastrophic this takeover would be. We said it was about power and money. It is about power and money. And the first thing they do, not even here a year, they want to pass some $1 billion bonds. Okay. you think it's not about power and money? You better think again.
Better think again. It's always, we just say earlier, all of the money.
All of the money. We kept
Always
telling them
money.
that. And now everything, unfortunately, that we told them was going to happen is happening every single day.
All right, so my last final question to you, and then I'm gonna open the floor for you to get everything else you want to get out, since we got this platform and we are streaming everywhere, Miss Jackie. I'm a startup podcast. I'm a teacher, and I've been on social media, but it gets out, and we have. I think I'm up to almost 24,000 downloads. And I just started doing this about 7 months ago. So it's getting out there. So after I ask you this, I want you to say everything you got to say, because we're going to try to touch as many people as we can possibly touch. My favorite thing to say and my favorite thing to ask, in which people love to tell me it's not about, is this about race? We talk about the district disparities, the performance, the resources, the funding, the programs, the neighborhoods. I want you to think about all the schools, NES aligned schools that are being impacted right now, and answer for our audience, is this about race?
It's 100%. Excuse me. It's 100% about race. It's 100% about race. It's because, like I said, they're trying to create a permanent underclass. They're not going to go to Pinot and tell those kids, you're going to be in 2035. Your job is going to be to make beds, wash dishes, work in hotels, in the restaurant industry, in digging ditches, driving on trash trucks. They're not going to tell them that. They're trying to create people who will fill those jobs. It's too many of us getting master's degrees, doctorate degrees, law degrees. It's too many of us. We got to stop this and get some people to serve the coffee and wash those dishes.
Because they want to call us uppity Negroes so bad. I know they do.
It's absolutely about race.
Wow. When I did that video and I showed of course, the websites are meant, HISD has a template. It looks like every school looks like they have the same template, and you just add to the template what you have available at your school. And I looked at, because it was a teacher at, what's the name of that school? Not MacArthur. Waltrip. It was a teacher at Waltrip High School that was in my comment section, basically fighting for Mike Miles and saying like, oh, the kids at Madison are just dumb. We don't have, we have the same rule at my school. But I'm like, girl, first of all, your school is a school of research and technology. Your magnet program. You can't even begin to have this conversation with these teachers over here. And the programs that are available at Waltrip don't look like the same programs that are available at Madison. And hell, the programs that
Waltrip is not an NES or NES aligned store.
Exactly. And then even to go a step further, when I look at the programs that are available at Bel Air, I open up that document. They had a whole nother document that opened with all kind of orchestra, theater, Spanish 5, 10, 11. I mean, all kind of stuff. And I say, what
being taught by certified teachers. When you come over here to the NES schools, they're going to remove all the fine arts and have dyads, people coming in from God knows where. And I'm going to tell you, I know how to cook, okay? But I'm not qualified to teach cooking.
No.
I'm not a chef. So why is it good enough for their kids? You think it's not about race. Why is it good enough for their kids to have everything? But it's not. Our kids don't deserve libraries. Our kids don't deserve certified teachers. Now with this DOI, they can bring in teachers that's not certified and don't even tell the parents that their kids are being taught by certified teachers. So our kids don't deserve to have certified teachers. Our kids don't deserve to go on field trips. Our kids don't deserve to have certified people teaching our kids music, art, fine arts, and other classes. Anybody can walk in off the street now and teach our kids. That's the way it is. You
and
think it's not about
race?
$80,000? Okay. You think it's not about race? Okay. Woo! If it wasn't about race, it would be happening on the other side. It would be happening on the one side.
Exactly. And I don't see. I mean, it may trickle down to them sooner than later, but I don't see it happening in the right now, because now I don't see it happening at all. I don't see it happening at all, because what I think is going to happen, those schools are going to be pulled apart, and they'll form their own little district. Oh,
And they'll be able to keep everything, every service that they've had, and be able to do whatever they want to do. And the rest of us will be one big NES district, and we'll get the crumbs or whatever is left.
Or a charter.
Yeah. No, they'll probably charter them, because that means that they can accept who they want to accept.
Yeah. Oh my God. All the plan, all the part of the plan.
So, I may be wrong, but that's I'm telling you, that's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
They'll charter those schools,
Mm-hmm.
because that way they can accept and reject whoever they will.
Whoever they want to do. And us, the workers, the bed makers, and the coffee servers, y'all stay over there.
Yeah, y'all get on over there and y'all didn't want y'all schools charter. Y'all didn't want this. Y'all didn't want that. So y'all get on over there and y'all do what y'all, and we're going to set our schools apart. And when we try to take our kids over there, oh no, we're not going to accept you. Now, that's what I think that the plan is. Now, I might be wrong. Oh, you just said something. I know I said that was my last question, but you just said something that made me remember something. So I remember when the whole NES thing started happening, and of course, Mr. Miles was making all these promises to parents, telling parents that they could transfer their kids. If they didn't want to be at these schools, they could transfer their kids, and here's the process, blah, blah, blah. And then when parents started trying to do that, they were hit with emails that said stuff like, oh, because you're zoned to an NES school, i.e. your data is attached to this school, you cannot transfer to the Pin Oaks. You cannot transfer to the Briar Forest Middles. You cannot transfer over here. You have to stay over there where you are. So when they pull them out, which I think is the end game, when they pull those high-performing schools out, do you think you're going to be able to transfer over there? Because they will form their own little charter district. And we know charters don't have to take anybody they don't want to take.
Golly. Oh, it's so deep. Okay, I so wish I could, because I feel like I could keep talking to you, Miss Jackie. I'm trying to be on your level, so we're gonna stop this recording in a minute because I need to talk to you about some other stuff. But while we're on air, I want you to get everything out. Whatever vote you said, something about voting for the bond. What are some other things that we need the people to know in order so that you can help them help themselves and help their babies?
I think parents need to pull their heads, and I don't want to offend anybody, but pull your head out of the sand here. And start to think and wonder, what was school like when you went? It was an opening. It was an open environment. It was a well-respected part of the community. People had respect for teachers. All of that's gone now. All of that's gone. You'll come to the school because somebody took your child's cell phone, because they said your child's pants was sagging. Any little thing will get you to come to school. But where are you for the parent conferences? Where are you to talk about when are you going to the school to see? I just want to know what my child is doing here. Nobody called to me to come up here. I'm up here because I want to know. I think they need to become more involved. I know my parents were highly involved when I was in school.
Yes.
My mother knew before I got home. She already knew. If I had done something I had no business doing, she already had the word. She was meet me at the door.
My mama's we'll talk about it when you get home. I already knew what that meant.
Okay. So we got to stop just accepting anything we're told and start to investigate and start to really listen. And don't take, how was your day at school? Oh, okay. Stop taking that for the answer.
What you learned at school today? Nothing.
Yeah, stop taking that for the answer, because you come in my door and tell me you didn't learn. Well, you need to come sit down. Because I know you should have learned something.
Wow, that is so true. That's what's happening.
So a lot of things that parents, and I hate to put it all on parents, but they're expecting way, way, way too much from a teacher, from the school system itself. Too much is being expected. We have to work as a team. Parent, teacher, school administrator, we have to be a team. That's lacking. That's lacking right now. It's disjointed. And until it's full a circle, there's always going to be some impact that affects students disproportionately more than it affects anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, HISD, we always say it was a tale of two cities, a district of the have and have-nots.
Yep.
Right now, that's even more so than before, because its NES model has widened the disparities in our schools from the north, south, east, and west.
Mm-hmm.
It's been widened. And we need to hold our legislators accountable when they come out, when it's voting time. I'm sure everybody on this call has gotten so much junk in the mail.
Yes.
Vote for me and oh, I'm going to do this. No, what have you done?
Mm-hmm.
What have you done? Don't tell me what you're going to do. Tell me about what you have done already. What you can continue to do. Because if you can't continue if you haven't done anything.
Right.
Hold these people accountable. Don't let them buy you a pie or something and think that you know that they earned your vote. Hell no, they haven't earned your vote because they haven't done anything.
And that's what we do. We set up and we give them a Chick-fil-A biscuit or two and make them feel like we on their side. And that's how we get them. We are easily bought with food. That's crazy.
We got to start holding these people accountable for our children, for our children's future, our children's education. And if they haven't done it, we need to start calling them out. Call them out. We need to start visiting their local offices when you have a problem, when you have a complaint. Visit their office and tell them what you want. Tell them what's going on. Because a lot of them, when we started calling them, they were acting like they didn't even know what was going on in HISD. Why don't you? It started in Austin. Why don't you?
Because they just using this as a stepping stone, a notch on their resume to further their own personal agendas. That's
right. And I probably would too, because guess what? They got the best damn insurance and the best damn retirement. So, I mean, but since they are there, hold them to it.
Right.
Hold them to it.
So look, but without saying it, because neither one, let's make sure we put that disclaimer out there. Neither one of us are advocating striking or sick outs or sick ins or whatever y'all want to call it. But we are advocating for teachers to get together and strategize however they see fit, whatever that means in their minds, to get some change done. And if you are not a part of HFT, go ahead and pay that. What is it? $22? How much is it now, Ms. Jackie?
$26 per payday.
$26 per pay period. And I say it's like car insurance. You really cannot afford to not have it. You never need it until you need it.
That's right.
I remember when I was in Fort Bend and I had to use it. And I don't think I ever used it with HISD, but I remember using it with Fort Bend and didn't need it until I thought I needed it. And it was for bullying. And I will say that I think we went to like a level 2 or level 3 with this principal I had, and they ended up coming back telling her like, don't even contact this lady, like, cause she was crazy. So even getting them to write letters and getting the legal department to form, the wording how you needed to be formed, lined up with the local policies and everything is a help. So it's well worth the money. So guys, if you are not, please, there's strength in numbers. You cannot do this by yourself. A lot of times if the district see that you don't even have HFT or whoever in your corner, they're not even going to entertain you.
That's correct.
You do better with people. So make sure you guys do that and strategize. If you need to get with Miss Jackie, if you need to get with me, like let's figure something out, because the more y'all lay down and let this stuff happen, they gonna crank it up on y'all. This ain't nothing.
Right. You're gonna be buried in a minminute if you don't put your foot down and stop it. You're gonna be buried.
Oh, and they ain't gonna send no flowers to your services.
Okay,
because you ain't pay your faculty fund. I always say that. Oh, all right, Ms. Jack. We're gonna stop the recording, but I'm gonna hang on the line with you for a minute. Thank you for joining us. This conversation, just let everybody know, was sponsored by Club Movement. If you guys have not heard of Club Movement, check them out. It's a beautiful gym in the Manville, Fort Bend area. Thank you for sponsoring this episode with Ms. Jackie. I'm so grateful, so honored to have this conversation with you. I see you on TV all the time, and I always say, man, I want to be like some Ms. Jackie one day. So I am so grateful to have this conversation with you. I'm going to end the call right here in the recording, but I'm going to hang on the line with you, Miss Jackie. So give me 1 second so you can say some stuff that we don't need to be recorded.
Okay.
All right.